Um,
Hey, Lee.
hey, Scott.
What?
You can hear
Nice. Look at that.
On next, Lee.
Who's getting married?
No, it's formal evening
Oh,
on the
no.
ship.
You dress up very nicely.
Dapper.
Thank you, man.
We dress like this every night.
Okay, Lee, we had a little trouble logging in, which it was on our end. So anyway, we're glad you're here. And I'm going to call the meeting of the Nantucket Cemetery Commission to order for Wednesday, December 13th. I declare we have a quorum present, and let's get into the agenda. No public comment. Any commissioner comments before we start?
I do have a question.
Yes.
It's December, we haven't planted any daffodils this year. We had a grant from the garden club,
Garden club.
and I don't think we used it all. We used part of it.
We used part of it. We
Was
used,
Was there a time constraint on that? We had to use all of it by a certain date?
I don't think so. I think that,
Mary?
I'm not sure. I think that the money comes into our account. And I'm not sure if it's a draw, if we draw against the garden club, or if they put the funds in our account.
We should look into that because
Yeah.
the Friends of Our Island Home got a grant for some landscaping at our island home. And there was a time limit on it. And that's what made me wonder about whether there was a time limit on our daffodil account.
Right.
So how do we find out?
Good question. We can probably look in, well, if the money was deposited, the grant funds from the garden club, this would have been 3 years ago. Just see what the amount was.
Would it be easier to just call like Mary Malaves and find out?
Well, she probably, it could be. I mean, I can give that a try, but I'm not sure she would have the records
Yeah,
of,
she might not.
you know, who wrote the checks and all that sort of thing. All right, I'll follow up on that with Mary, and then we'll see if we can.
I'll do some searching through
Right.
computer files to see if I can find it out.
Garden club.
I
I'm
think
afraid it's too late to do anything this year.
it is, yeah.
But we have good intentions and we should follow them through next week.
Exactly. I think the first year we spent $300 and some dollars, and the second, anyway, my recollection is that we used up about $600 of the 1,000 roughly. So, okay, I'll check into that. Any other comment?
Yeah,
Lee.
Helen, before we go, who's in attendance? I think I'm hearing Barbara White. Oh, I've just seen Barbara, the top of Barbara's head. All right, we're all here. And we're all down on my list.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Lee, what?
I'm done. I wanted to make sure I had the attendance correct.
Thank you. Next item, approval of minutes from our November 8th meeting. Those minutes were circulated. And any errors, omissions? Or I entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
To approve them.
I can second. Barbara seconded, Lee.
All in
I
favor?
got,
You need roll
Oh,
call?
roll call. Fran,
Aye.
Scotty,
Aye.
Barbara,
Aye.
Lee,
aye,
and chair votes aye. Those minutes are approved. Okay, next item. Installation of lot corner markers at pulpits.
Approval of lot sales. Do we have no lot sales?
Oh, I'm sorry, I checked out the. Yeah, lot sales. We had no, there were no additional lot sales since the November meeting. So no additional lot sales. Okay, number 3.
Four.
If I hold it up in front of me, I'll do it. The installation of the lot corner markers at Pulpus. Scotty was a big help, and we got most of them in the section. The rows, wait a minute, numbers 2 through 8, which are adjacent to the rows coming up. So where was rows A through G. So those are pretty much in. There were 4 of them that either the marker, also we didn't have a marker or something.
There was a lot, we have
No.
48.
We still have rows A and B to complete. And then rows starting with, let me just look at mine.
Alan, when you get that in front of you, could you review which ones have been installed?
Which ones have been installed? Review which ones have been installed.
The ones that have been installed are the ones in lots A through G, numbers 2 through 8. And there are maybe, I don't know how many are missing or how many of those are missing.
Maybe about 4,
4?
something like that.
Oh, okay.
Was it more than that?
I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah.
I was out
I got it
there.
written down.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. So the ones that we need to put in are the remaining ones in rows B, rows A and B. Those are across the bottom part, and those would be numbers 9 through 24. And then we have the section these are rows J through C, and we are sending those rows out toward the road to numbers 29. The row currently ends at 20s. So it's
21 to 29.
Well, yes, 21 through 29.
And it's
Oh, wait, no,
J to what?
No, I don't think that's right.
No, I'm sorry, you're right. It's 21 through 29.
Oh, okay, so that is right.
And it's J through which?
J through C.
This is
Sorry,
J.
could. I'm hearing several things. I'm hearing J, but what's the other, what's the final one? J through
C is in Charlie.
C is in Charlie.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, anyway, those are the markers to reinstall. Maybe when Scotty gets back from work, we'll,
Yeah, I'll be happy to.
have a little field trip or something to go out and do it. I've got to say, I was out there after you and I were out there, and I had these stacks of the discs and trying to, for some reason, I just can't visualize, trying to get them in the right corner.
They're all wrapped in sections.
They're, yeah.
So don't unwrap them.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe,
So, I was gonna say, depending on where the 4 that you're missing are, they
Yeah.
might be on the top of another stack.
I think the 4 were that, like a couple were double stamped,
Okay.
Yeah.
just incorrectly.
Yeah.
And there might have been some we couldn't find.
Yeah.
So I have them written down
Yeah,
somewhere.
and then it probably, let's wait till the end.
They might be in that whole.
Yeah, because they got stamped them in the order of the sheets of how I wrote them
Yeah,
out. So,
yeah.
you know, if I was on the end of the next sheet, like there was, it was kind of kind of work as methodically as possible
Right.
on
Yeah.
handwriting all these things.
So
So
you set up like the C road.
yeah, so we'll wait to the end,
Yeah,
and then we need to have restamped,
Yeah.
or if something's missing, we could.
I just keep a note of what.
Yeah.
we
Of what ones
missing.
are, yeah.
For the amount we put down, there's not many missing.
Yeah. Do you wanna put this the
Yeah.
other way?
So anyway, that's the next.
Are you
Project.
opening it up again?
So,
So I'd be happy to help do that is when I'm next available.
yeah, no, that's fine. There's no urgency because, you know, this time of year, whatever. And, so good, all right. I've got to say that every time I'm out there with those things, you really, because there are 4 different ones, and each one has a specific quarter. For some reason, you have to get it.
That would not be in my wheelhouse either.
It's a difficult concept to grasp because you're bordering 4
Yeah,
lots, one.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
I know. Well, that's, you know, I said, boy, this should be really simple. So I'm out there and I've got this, I've got my map, I've got everything. I put flags out there. You'll see the orange flags. I bought a
I
bunch
think I
of,
saw the flags.
yeah, I bought a bunch of those so I could, you know, lay out the tape and, yeah, anyway.
we'll get there.
We'll get there. Okay, proposal to the next item, number 5, the proposal to expand the commission membership. I spoke with Maureen Coleman at the DPW. She's with in the office with Erica. And so I went in to ask her about enlarging the commission. And I told her that with Roads and Right of Way Committee, we had expanded it twice. We went from 5 to 7 to 9. And it was simply, all we needed was the authority from the select board. She said that because we are a commission, that's not, it's not that you can't just go to the selectmen, it has to go through a whole process. Because we are an official commission. Now, the difference, and I should have known this from my government studies stuff. A commission has regulatory authority, which we have as the cemetery commissioners. We make the decisions and we don't have to go to the select board. You know, we do have to deal with the funds and so on. You know, the funding through the town and all that sort of thing. But so we can't simply go to the select board and say we'd like to have either Michael Harrison or, you know, whoever on or added to the committee without going through a process.
You know, Alan, when I was on the Nantucket Historical Commission, not the HDC, but this commission,
Right.
which is the only other commission I think on Nantucket. When I was there, I was an alternate, and they changed their rules 2 years ago and eliminated the alternates. And that's when I decided I would get off the commission, because I knew that I wasn't quite ready to be a full member. So they did do it.
It's fair.
So maybe
that never occurred.
Hillary Rayford would know how it was done, although she's not there anymore.
Right.
But I know we did change it. Now, all they did was eliminate the alternates,
Right.
but still it was a change to the governance of it.
Okay.
Maybe eliminating is easier to do.
It could be, but they made, I don't know.
I'll follow up on that question to see if we have, as a commission, the right to add a position of alternate or so. Make it a non-voting, or anyway,
Yeah.
how.
Yeah, but yeah, I was a non-voting.
That's a great.
And that way we could add people and then move them up.
They-
Alan, my suggestion is that amongst ourselves, we determine what we would like to ask for. And then we go back to Maureen and say, does this require a formal request of the select board and a public hearing? I'm pretty sure there's gonna have to be a public hearing at some point. What but let's know what it is that we want to do. And then move that through the select board. I'm pretty sure you're right, Alan. They may not on their own approve it, but they can certainly set up a public hearing.
All right, well, I'll follow up with Erica and see just what she says,
Do you want
whether.
me to contact Hillary and see what
Oh,
she
yeah,
remembers?
yeah, yeah.
I will do that.
Okay, well, that would be interesting. Actually, that would be, if that can work, that would be nice and easy. To just appoint
Nice. I will be trying
alternate.
that.
When an opening
Right.
comes up.
Exactly.
That's exactly when I was put on. There were two of us alternates, and that was the intention.
Yeah.
So when there was a vacancy, the alternates would move up, but then they decided to change it and get rid of the alternate. So I do think they fundamentally changed it.
So they were obviously happy with the size of their commission.
Mike?
They didn't want to expand the members.
There were quite a lot of members, so, yeah.
Because that's like, do we want to expand our size? And then
Well, we
have
thought we
alternates?
wanted to expand our size, but it looks like there's, it's not an easy thing to
Yeah.
do.
And
Right,
this is.
you have to get
Ryan.
approval from the state because we are a commission. And that's what takes forever because you have to go through all the different layers of your office.
That it's faster than a land swap.
Yeah,
Whereas the committee structure is, we're appointed by the select board. And it's a lot easier because they're the chosen ones. Okay. Next item is monument restoration project updates, Old North and, wait, now. Yeah, Old North and Quaker,
Should be quicker, historic colored.
yeah, I was gonna say Quaker and Stir Color.
They will be on island Monday.
whoa.
Wow.
So that was when they
Wonderful.
wrapped up their project off island. It was the first boat they could
Yeah,
get over. So they're starting
Correct.
on Monday. I don't know exactly. They'll be on island on Monday. I don't know what time
Yeah.
their boat is, but I'm sure if they're here in the morning, they'll be out.
do you know which one they're gonna start with?
I believe Quaker.
Quaker, right, well, I'll keep an eye out.
And they're
I,
going to look into it, issue it to the, Old North.
Yes. Yeah.
So it is Old North, Quaker, and Colored.
good, all right, well, I'll look forward to, I met Walter when he was, doing Old North. And, I
If Ryan comes, his package.
spoke with him a couple of times. And, very nice guy,
Yeah, I really wanted to, meet up with them, but somehow or other. It just
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
Well, yeah, I hate to, particularly if they're out there working, I
Yeah.
hate to interrupt the flow or whatever, but I happened to be out there and I saw them out in the field and I went out just to introduce myself and got to chat with the Walter.
Yeah, they'll be here for probably a few days between the two cemeteries. So
Yeah,
if you're driving by, I'm sure they'll,
yeah.
swing in, say hello. Sure, be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah,
They're excellent group.
well, good, I'm excited about, particularly Quaker, every time I go by Quaker, that's the one I go by most
Me too.
of the time.
So there's a little straightening to do.
Yes, exactly. And it's noticeable and they've also started to darken up since 3 years ago when we did that, when the DPW actually did that.
D3?
The
D2.
D2.
D3, D2.
Each biologic solution.
Alan,
Yes, Lee.
for your consideration and Charlie's, should we be asking or telling Josh Balling what's going on in case he wants to get a picture in the paper?
Oh, that's a great idea.
I love that idea.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think
Yeah.
There's a historic person in the office.
But we have to know where and when.
yeah, well, exactly, but just to alert her that, who's the woman who does, the approvals for permits, or not permits, but anyway, she's involved. I'll,
Eric Mooney.
no, not Erica. She reports to Erica, I believe.
I know exactly who you mean, I can't think of the
You
name.
don't mean Holly
No,
back?
I can't think.
Oh,
Oh. Maybe. I'll leave that.
She's got, yeah, she's the historical person.
She's the.
That's Holly back.
Okay, it's Holly back, that's right.
Holly Rich right back.
And she also, I spoke with her last summer about it, because she was the nurse taking photographs in the cemeteries for the counties. Right, so, Holly Baptist. I'll check with her. and
She's
see.
that, you know, you can get her through the town's
Right.
website.
Okay, so, Newtown Cemetery. No news, from Newtown.
well, what about the flagpole?
The base is in. I believe they're waiting for the concrete to set.
Wonderful,
That's great,
at least that's something.
right?
So I drove in there the other day and you can, if you drive in, the flagpole's not up. I haven't been buying it there because I think they're going through town.
Had it been taken from Island Lumber?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, so the pole, if you drive by, you can see the poles is laying there.
Yeah, I saw the pole of the
Yeah.
ground down there.
Yeah, they dug the hole. I was in there the other day, they got it covered with plastic.
Yeah.
So secure.
Well, that's very encouraging.
That is very encouraging.
Right. One of the other things that I would like to do while we're, taking a look at Newtown is maybe, I was going to suggest we do have a meeting at the cemetery and sort of go around and make we could probably do that on an individual basis, because I know we all have different schedules and so on, so trying to. So maybe, if you're buying Newtown, take a look and make a note, a list of any items or any things that we might do there. What I'm remembering when the last time when we did a field survey, this was maybe 2 years ago, maybe.
Might even be longer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Pre-COVID.
I think it was pre-COVID. Yeah,
oh, that's right, yeah,
yeah, so probably 4 years ago.
I would,
was Bob Carter?
No, it was after.
I, you know, I can do it on my own, but I'd much rather do it with somebody else.
Yeah,
Maybe Bob or,
Yeah, yeah.
well,
I mean, I remember pretty clearly, we talked about, how we would access maybe by cow pond.
exactly,
Think about some parking there.
exactly.
Yeah, but we have to do the ground penetrating radar, right, first?
Probably, yeah, Lee, the question is at Newtown Cemetery. We've done some of the ground penetrating radar. And for the parking area where you pull in the new area or the new place, the low place down there.
Yeah.
Where we were going to pull in. Do you recall, Lee, if we did any survey work down there?
Alan, and I'm hoping that Fran will help me out on this. The ground penetrating, that was Grubb and Associates, the ground penetrating radar, the GPR people, expanded the search in open areas, and down by that drainage spot, the wet spot against Sparks Avenue, we found a lot of graves. A friend and I thought that might have been the common burial ground.
Don't we
wonder-
have, don't we have, a diagram showing that?
Yes.
Yeah, good.
So that, Lee, then that was the place where we originally thought maybe we would put parking?
Yes, and that's why because it's against the fence.
Right, so we need to reassess where the parking should be, is what you're saying.
I would like to see a full GPR, and I think the problem, what I want to say, the problem legally is that some of those areas are in the lots that were
Of the road.
subdivided from the cemetery. I don't think we should do anything until we can get the town to acknowledge that the cemetery goes from fence to fence in both directions.
Well, how can we get some movement on that?
Oh my God, it's been years.
Well, yes, we did write. In fact,
So I'm thinking that the attorney, the town council that is working on this, is not aware of the sequence of things that are waiting for town approval. In my mind, it would simply take an acknowledgement by select board that this is a cemetery. We've given them a lot of evidence.
I
Sorry,
tried
Fran.
last August, I spoke to Matt Fee and I talked to Malcolm McNabb because they were both at something I was at. And I told them it was very simple, so it seemed. And they apparently made some inquiries and were told that it wasn't simple. And that was the end of my initiative.
No, I recall that very well, Fran. I do, which is why, Alan, at some point, we need, through you probably as chair, to go to the select board and say, on record, that the select board needs to do something and that we need a meeting with town council to figure out what their reluctance is. My suggestion to you, Alan, is that you ask for space in a select board agenda under the heading of committee reports.
Yeah, and if you want, if it's a good time, a couple of us go with you.
Yep.
I'm
Absolutely.
happy to if
Me
I'm
too.
not off island.
okay, we had, in fact, Lee had written a letter to the select board or a memo. This was when we started this process, outlining why we were requesting this.
Yep.
And, things like the monument restoration, we can't really do that until, there's a whole list of things. So.
Alan, how hard is it for you to get onto the select board agenda for a committee, something?
Well, I've never had difficulty.
Well, I mean.
But, it
Let's
depends.
do it as soon as we possibly can when Barbara and I are both here.
And I think that if you could come up with a few, in your files, dates of when we initiated this, so that we're not going there without some ammunition, if you will, saying, this is not something new.
Yeah, well, part of the issue was Ken Bogland was the one who was doing the legwork for us, and then.
But he didn't do any legwork at all.
Yeah, so, exactly, so,
Let's try.
yeah,
Yeah, I think,
And let's try as soon as we can.
right,
and in fact, if we are going to go to the select board, I wonder if there isn't another issue that we should throw in there while we have an opportunity. Is there something else that we're waiting for them to do? I'm not talking about pulpits,
no,
that's too big, but is there any other issue that we need their approval on?
Well, I think focusing on Newtown Cemetery, because this has been a long
Yeah,
haul.
yeah.
And it's really clear, I mean, I, for the life of me, I don't understand what the delay is, because the request is really simple. All that, as Lee said, all the town select board has to do is declare that it is a,
Well, that's what I said to them in August.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen.
But maybe if we say it at a public meeting,
well,
That's a little
or maybe, I think what I would really do is the approach, go through through Erica to Libby and make sure they understand what the problem or what the issue is. And I think simply giving them a copy of the initial proposal.
So you're saying instead of,
No, not
Okay.
instead of, no, that would be step number one, saying we need the select board to do this. And by explaining that to Erica and to Liddy, those are the two, if you want to get something in front of the select board, that's the path.
well, let's make every effort,
Yeah,
starting now.
Alan,
yes,
I wholeheartedly agree. We should never do something that leaves the town manager flat-footed, not knowing what our intentions are.
Yeah.
So yes, start with her, but reminder that we've been put off for 3 or 4 years. We don't need any more delays because there are significant things that we need to do. Now,
And-
for
What
very
about-
quick,
yeah, go ahead.
so go ahead, Barbara.
I was saying at the same time, Alan could say, we would like to put this in front of the select board to help, so so that we don't just leave it as up to Libby and Erica to say that, we would like to be on the agenda in a timely fashion, if
Well-
that would facilitate it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Barbara. It's just that if they know what's happening, they can pick the meeting and get us on the agenda. Agendas are set maybe 2 weeks beforehand. Now, just very quickly, in 1998, the town had a consultant who found that in 1830, I want to say 1834, the proprietors set off land to the benefit of, I think the first name was James, I know the last name was Coffin. And somehow or another, they thought that this set-off came out of the cemetery as opposed to the common and undivided lands of Nantucket, and said, well, we need to find where this set-off went. In those days,
You're on tonight, right? Monitoring the budget. You're supposed to be on.
just hang on. In those days, the meets and bounds survey was very precise, but they didn't link it to a monument. So we don't know from the deed just exactly where this quadrilateral of land came from. And the supposition was that it came from the cemetery. And so if we want to move ahead, said this consultant, you need to take that land, but you need to define from whom you're taking it. And by the way, Coffin died precipitously in 1836, and his heirs sold that land onto the Myrick family, and the Myrick family has dispersed. We think there's an heir in Brooklyn. And I think all of that is nonsense. I think the set-off was outside because there's no evidence in any subsequent deeds that the cemetery was any place else but where it is today. And I'm happy to say that to town council.
Right. Okay, so that's something concrete, right?
good. All right, well, I'll definitely, follow up on that one as well. The other, in my presentation to Libby, et cetera, I'll make it clear that, we've done all this work with the monument restoration project that we've accomplished so far. And we are anxious to move on to this Newtown will be the last cemetery.
And, to explain to
No,
her,
actually, there's New North.
Oh, that's right. I
But also to explain to Libby that it's the only place that we have for active burials.
Yeah, we're running out of space.
Yeah.
You know, and,
Yeah.
you know, it's being, I mean, I joined the commission, I had no idea how many years ago. That was on the agenda then.
Yeah.
15 years, something like that.
Yeah. I know.
Yes.
I'll check in the minutes to see.
Right.
Okay, so I'll definitely follow up on that because it would be nice to get, you know, we've done such good work so far on the cemeteries that we've been improving. And it would be nice, particularly Newtown, because it's so central
It's so
to,
visible.
yeah, very visible and central to the community. People walk by, and particularly when they do, if they're, well, when they do the new sidewalk that they're going to do on Sparks Avenue, you know, it'll make it for that process. Okay.
So can I go back to a little bit, you wanted us to go out there, but I'm wondering if there's any point, because what we talked about before is really off the board.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we need the ground penetrating radar before we can even think about laying out where we're gonna park and all. So I'm not sure we need the field trip, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I feel like what we talked about is just, you
Yeah, the
know,
only point,
pipe dream.
the only point though would be to, refresh our familiarity with the place. I mean, Alan visits all of these
I
9
know.
cemeteries regularly, but we don't, and we
You know,
probably ought to just go.
well, I'm happy to go with you.
Let's
Let's do it.
find a nice day and do it.
What I do, as I said, I try to visit each cemetery at least once a month. Some of them I'm, you know, more frequent, but what I do is that, you know, I go in, take a look, make sure. They have kids, spinning on the tires, whatever. Whatever. So I'm pretty familiar with, you know, as far as the layouts of the cemetery and what needs to be done. I'll make notes, usually to bring back to this meeting if there's something.
But you know, I really do think that we as cemetery commissioners, we ought to refresh our familiarity, all of us, from time to time.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, I find, when I go into each of the cemeteries, you know, it's like, particularly when the change of the seasons.
I was talking with somebody last day or two who said about Newtown Cemetery that it's sort of just out there.
Alan, I don't want to cut into all of this, but it's 10 minutes before 8 here on the ship. And the imperative of my dinner is ringing loudly.
You look wonderful, Lee. Where are you?
About 500 miles west of the tip of Ireland.
Goodness. All right, well,
Well, as I started to say, someone I was talking to within the last day or so remarked on Newtown Cemetery and felt that in a way it sort of looked neglected. And I said that we really do look out plans for it.
mhm.
Then I also spoke with Miranda Dale yesterday. And she said she and Niles Parker are going to be having a meeting within the next week or so and revisit the business about having some kind of brochure or
I spoke to
something.
her about 2 weeks ago about it.
Oh,
I tried to put a little bit of fire in it.
Well, one of her concerns was she thought that maybe we didn't want a brochure because it would attract more people to the cemetery. And I said, I didn't think that was a concern for any of us whatsoever.
Should we adjourn so that Lee can go?
Yeah,
Well, this was business and I'm done.
exactly. All right, is there any other business to come before the commission this afternoon? Seeing none, I declare we are at the end of our agenda and the meeting is adjourned.
Merry Christmas,
Thank
Lee.
you all. Thank you all. And it is 7:50,
Yes.
3:50 your time.
4:50.
Have the check